Hello and welcome to Sila 2023 special interviews. Today I'm privileged to host Nick Cherkas, writer, teacher and the representative of Oxford University Press in North Africa. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Miriam. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us. To start with, Nick Cherkas, can you tell us a little bit about your role as North Africa's representative of Oxford University Press and your responsibilities in promoting academic literature in the region?
Sure. Well, Oxford University Press has been present in the countries of North Africa for some years now. So my role is managing the Oxford University Press for Algeria, for Morocco, for Tunisia, and for Malta. And that basically means that we work with our book distributors, who are established in all of those countries, who are providing our titles to private schools, to universities, to language schools, and increasingly in the North African countries to the public sector as well. It's a very exciting period to be working in this region because of the way that the role of English is changing and developing. And Oxford University Press is uniquely placed as the world's authority on the English language to help those countries in their development of the English language through our materials, through our books and resources, and through our digital products and our examinations as well.
Lovely. Now, since we're talking about promoting literature in our region, how does academic publishing, particularly through Oxford University Press, contribute to the education and research landscape in North Africa and beyond?
Well, Oxford University Press is an organisation that carries out a huge amount of research in education and in language acquisition and in language teaching. And it's that research that then feeds into our course books and our materials. And that's one of the reasons why we know that our course books are of the highest quality. And that means that when schools and teachers are using our books, through the name Oxford, they know that they're using a method that gets results and that helps children when they're learning English. In addition to that, we also have a very strong track record of working with ministries of education to create adapted course books for public education systems. We've done this in countries including Kazakhstan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and South American countries. And we are very excited about the opportunity to do this in North African countries as well, particularly in Algeria, where we can provide resources for the public schools that are fitting with the curriculum of the country and fitting the cultural norms of the country and also fitting the needs of the students.
Right. Now, how does the participation of Oxford University Press in this 26th edition of the International Book Fair contribute to the exchange of knowledge, ideas? Do you have any programs or activities at your level at the stand in the book fair?
Most of the people that I've been meeting are I've been meeting a lot of teachers and representatives from schools who are using our books, and it's a fantastic opportunity to meet them face to face. A lot of these people I know through having delivered online training with them or having exchanged messages or emails with them, but it's a wonderful opportunity to actually meet them face to face, and that for me is the biggest opportunity to really meet the teachers that are using our books and even some of the students as well. We've had a lot of school visits coming to our stands, and that's a wonderful opportunity for them to see the face of the publisher of whose books they're using, but also for me to find out a little bit from them about how English is changing in their daily lives.
And how is their experience overall in learning English as a second or foreign language?
Overwhelmingly positive, I would say. I think that teaching English is really fun, and learning English with a really good method is really fun as well. So in our primary school course books, for example, you'll find loads of songs, games, videos, communicative activities, and ways that children can learn by doing, not just by sitting in a classroom and learning the way that I learned French at school.
Yeah,
which was
the classic boring learning
exactly,
with just long lectures and grammar and everything.
Exactly. And overwhelmingly, when I speak to students in Algeria, they tell me that English is one of their favorite subjects.
It's becoming, yeah.
Exactly. And I've even just literally walking around the fair, even this morning, I've heard about 5 or 6 times, I've heard Algerian people, mostly children and teenagers, talking to each other in English.
In English.
And that they're now at a stage where they're happy to do that, and they can feel that English is kind of part of their identity in a way.
Now, are there any specific publications or projects from your publisher that you're excited about, especially in the context of this year's theme of the book fair, Africa Writes Its Future?
In Algeria, our priority is to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the students and of the teachers and of the people in general as English develops more in the country. We need to make sure that not only do we have a range of products that is meeting those needs, but also that we are in contact with the with not just the private sector, but also with the public sector, with the ministries of education, to help them and to offer our expertise in developing their curricula and in making sure that they're able to meet the needs of their students.
Right. Now, as you know, Algeria has introduced English from the 3rd year of primary school alongside French, which is a significant step or significant shift towards English in the country's educational landscape. As a teacher, how do you see the role of English in Algerian education, and what potential benefits and challenges does it bring, especially in light of the introduction of English language in primary schools? They also have projects for making English the language of universities.
It's very exciting. First of all, and it's obviously responding to a need, I think. It's not something that, these are not decisions that are taken lightly, they're decisions that are taken because the experts in government have realized that this is something that the country needs. It's hugely exciting, but it also is something that is it's a project. It's not something that can be done at the flick of a switch. It's not something that can be done overnight. As I said before, this is something that's very interesting for me, because Oxford University Press has this experience in other countries that have gone through language reform projects of working with the governments and the ministries of education to provide our expertise in order to help them with that shift. One thing that I think is very important to remember is that Algerians have an incredible capacity for languages. As a British person, it's unusual, I would say, to meet a British person who can speak more than one language. It's not unusual to meet an Algerian who can speak 3 or 4 languages, maybe more, and they can even combine them in the same sentence. Exactly.
That's very common.
So people already are using Darija, they're already using Fusha, they're using Amazigh, they're using French, they're potentially using Spanish, Italian. To add English to that mix is not a huge challenge for a lot of people. And I like the way that you use that term, that the shift to English. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's also not replacing anything. It's being used more in education systems and in society in general to meet the needs of the people. And our role is to help with that shift.
To accompany that shift, right? Lastly, what are some pieces of advice that you can give to Algerians who want to learn English as a second language or as a foreign language for adults who are willing to learn English?
It's a really good question. One of the most important things to remember about English is that it's a very forgiving language. And I know, as a learner of French, that sometimes when I make a mistake when I'm speaking French, it's seen as quite a big deal if I make a mistake. In English, I think we're a lot more forgiving. As long as you can be understood, that's the most important thing. And so for a lot of people, especially adults, it's important to think about what they need English for. if their expectation is that they want to speak English as fluently as they speak their mother tongue, that's quite difficult stage to get to. But if they want to get to a stage where they can converse in English, maybe at an intermediate B1 level, that's very doable. Motivation is very important, the reasons why we want to learn a language. And for me, the key is practicing. And as I said to you before, it's really encouraging that I hear Algerians speaking to each other in English, and because that's a way that they're practicing that language. For adults, use English with your children. Even if, sometimes for many adults, sometimes their children may speak English better than them.
Yeah.
So they can learn from their children. They can ask their children about what they did in English class. They can ask their children, how do we say this in English? I've spoken this week to some students who say that in their house, they have one day a week, which is English Day, where they speak to each other in English. So knowing that it's okay to make a mistake and being understood is the most important thing. Practicing as much as you can, getting that exposure to English. So when people are watching movies, series, watch them in English subtitles. Take your telephone, put the language in English. So every time you look at your phone, you're getting that exposure to English.
To English.
And obviously, read. Read as much as you can. Fill your house with English books. There are so many wonderful publishers and booksellers here at the Sila, and it's really heartening to see people leaving the Sila with huge bags of books that they're taking home.
Yeah.
So I think that the future is very bright.
The future is very bright. Thank you very much for your insights and for this
welcome.
fascinating interview. And thank you, dear viewers, for following this fascinating interview. See you in the next ones. Take care.